So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What we do in life, it goes in eternity.
Hi, good morning. It's Christine Joanna Hart, and it's a vile Monday morning. It's awful. It's cold. It's miserable. It's in the middle of January. My car insurance is due. They're giving me a quote for £600 and haven't yet found any work. So here I am, ex-Fleet Street, in the dustbin and middle-aged and no work. So doing this radio show that I probably shouldn't be. Probably should be busy sending my CVs out to different companies. I'm averaging on 30 a day CVs going out. So obviously they're not impressing someone. They're going straight in the shredder. So that's sad, isn't it? I didn't think I'd find myself here. So here I am in my little rented house opposite my neighbour Janie, who's done everything right. There she is, skinny, stunning, married a pilot, and they have this house which is about 10 extensions on the edge. So it's good for me actually to look and think, well, I mustn't covet the neighbour's goods, but I covet that house. Hang on. Good Lord. I think it's saying, oh, there's a problem. There's a problem between me and my caller, but seems to be back and everything seems to be okay unless I'm going to get another call. My son was fiddling with the internet downstairs last night, so that might be what's going on. I think I've been cut off. Anyway, I was in the middle of telling you that it's a pretty grim day in London. It's very grim. It's cold. It's got cold. There was a bit of a glimpse of the sun this morning, but alas, not. I was just sharing about my neighbour's house, this beautiful house. You go and see it. It's worth about 4 million, and I see it every day, and I get that little voice in my head that says, you haven't got that, you didn't do that. And then I feel bad. And I think probably I'll get out of here and God will let me move on when I finally get to the point where I look at that house and it doesn't make me feel bad. I think to myself, well, I'm rich inside. So hopefully we'll come to that point. I'm waiting for my guest. My guest today is Miles Johnson, and he's asleep in bed as always. So I've been ringing for him to come on, but alas, nothing yet. So we're still waiting. Perhaps he'll turn up a bit later. Meanwhile, I will talk about what's going on with me, which was probably what I was going to talk about to him anyway, but without him. So what's going on with me at the moment? I've got a man called Graham Johnson, who I used to work with on the News of the World and on the Sunday Mirror together. And Graham wasn't very popular when we were there. He was... Okay, that's Miles not paying any attention. So we worked together, but Graham was quite unpopular. He was left out of all the office parties with Fiona Whitty and Dave Dillon, Rick Hewitt and the gang. He didn't come along to these parties, and he now works as a documentary filmmaker, and he wanted to do a documentary on me and my story with how I brought in John Boyle, obviously, to who ended up bringing in phone hacking, the multimillionaire that brought in phone hacking and yet got away with it with not even a mention. So that, he said he was going to do that. And then when we met up, it rather looked like that he was going to do something on me and things I had done that were immoral when I was an investigator stroke journalist on Fleet Street. So, but that only slipped out at the end of the day when, after I picked up my son from school and we all went to eat cake in this lovely little cafe, and it slipped out that he said, well, we can't ever do anything on John Boyle. So I realised then that the subject of the documentary was indeed me rather than anybody else. And this guy said that he had backers from people that hate. Okay, Okay, I think I'm offline. I think I'm back online. I keep getting notice say I'm offline and then back offline. So I think probably I don't know if this is people hacking in. Anyway, Graham Johnson has backers, so he was saying. Lots of moneyed backers that want to take down the Sun and take down the Mail and use me to do it. So I don't want to do that, but he's pushing me. He's rung me again today. Let's meet today. Let's meet today. I've just read your book. So I'm sitting here thinking, should I take money from a documentary or should I not do it? I don't know. You know, I worked for those two papers for nearly a decade, both of them, and I enjoyed working for them. We did some good journalism together, and I don't think I want to shit on them, even though when they let me go, they oh, one sec, here's Miles. One sec, I'm trying to add him, but hello?
Hello, good morning.
Oh, there you are. I was just speaking to everyone. You're a bit late. You're a late comer.
Oh my God.
Did you just crawl out of bed and you're there with your cup of tea and
No, I
pajamas?
was uploading a very important basis, which is a response to James Casbolt's experiences in America.
Oh, right. How do you mean a response?
Well, for those who don't know who James Casbolt is, he's one of the British super soldiers, and he's in jail because he decided to request a lot of money from his former wife's parents, and it all went very badly wrong. And he went towards the dark side very, very heavily. And he, along with another English guy called Max Spears, made some statements in 2014, which referred to why we have all this child abuse. In many respects, the child abuse is, I mean, both of these guys are in the Super Soldier program, which I think you are as well.
Right. Barry King had a pop at me about being called a super soldier. Oh, a pop at you and perhaps me. You're stroking.
Oh, yeah. Well, Barry King, for people who don't know, is the first person to make any statements about transgenic creatures and beings being manufactured with involvement with the Nazis, the Russians, the Americans. I think Canadians and Australians are in there as well. And he was part of a base in
No,
Peace,
I've
the
saw
Peace
him.
Corps.
I've heard it. I've saw him, but I'm just making you aware in case you didn't. He's
I know,
pissed
but
off with you.
for the greater, wider public who haven't a clue about this,
Oh, I see.
the British have been making transgenic beings in the various military bases connected with Peasmore, Boscombe Down, Porton Down, bases at Wantage, basically bases in Oxfordshire, Wiltshire, and Berkshire. They were creating programmed generated life forms, which were for use off world, off planet. One source specifically identified the lunar bases. And these creatures are derived from transgenic human and ET hybrid species. And a lot of it is really horrendous. Now, a lot of the Americans will only know of a base called Dulce. And here in Britain, we've been doing it with involvement with the Nazis during the war. And the later form of these particular creatures are called non-human cyborg units because essentially humanity is sleepwalking into a cyborg future. So the point is, when I call you a super soldier or you illustrate any superpowers, it's interesting that Barry King will. Barry King was talking X-Files stuff before the X-Files existed. And the point is, this is a British issue. Barry King's father discovered transgenic or strange-looking human beings in a German laboratory during the close of World War II. Now, he got some kind of a virus and he got sick. And the Americans came in. And so they basically got these transgenic or strange-looking humans. And because we've done further work on this black goo, this sentient fluid, thanks to people like Lisa Williams and Harold Couts-Vela and a guy called Alec Newald, who went to jail, but he was sent to jail to stop this story getting out.
What's happened to Lisa? I've only seen her that once.
Lisa has traced this totally independently, and again, she was going in with work. She was doing a little bit of work with David Bowie's daughter.
But
Germany.
when is there going to be something more from Lisa coming up?
Lisa is producing a vast amount of extremely detailed material, and she traced her work traced independently to the Nazi bases in Germany. And Harold Couts-Vela was on the same path. So we're getting different, completely separate, different researchers tracking this stuff down. Now, the point about Harold is he took a very serious hit, which he referred to some kind of spider creature. Yeah. And he is suffering very badly and on his own personal path on how he deals with that. But we've got to understand that this is an encounter with this artificial intelligence in a spider type form. And when I was in Poland, I recorded an interview with an architect and therapist who had one of these spider scuttler type things on her head. And she drew the first drawings of one of these things that we've ever had. And they're pretty ghastly. They're sort of, she refers to them as sort of like some kind of metalloid virtual creature. It's not quite visible in the visible spectrum, but it's on your head. You can feel it as it crawls across your face.
Didn't it have them in Minority Report, Scuttlers? It did, actually.
Well, you mean some people would say you've had them in mechanoid. The creatures, insectoid type creatures which infest the body. For instance, Dave Marrow, who's another part of the Super Soldier program, and he broke down. He's getting on with his life. Dave Marrow actually had a creature, a long thing about 4 inches long, many legs, which is sort of was in a fluidic state of matter.
Jesus.
And that was crawling around his back, and it was actually detectable. It was transmitting signals. These were RF signals which could be picked up using a thing called a zap checker, which is not anything you can buy these days. You can buy things called zap checkers, but they're not the same thing.
It's interesting. I had when I was taking that back.
Sorry, to finish the sentence. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Christy. The point is that they made these statements in 2014 that the powers that be, the elite, the powers that be have got infected with some kind of virus. They called it some kind of vampire virus. And their flesh will atrophy and die. The only way they can sustain that, because they don't have connection to life force, any kind of life force. So they have to drain the life force from children. And that is why so many children are taken. And this connects with Jimmy Savile, the BBC's massive suppression of this. The Daily Mail released this yesterday. How the way BBC employees are being hauled up, silenced, forbidden to talk, which is absolutely unconscionable. It's a travesty. That's a treasonous act. BBC should be shut down. They're now guilty of suppression of evidence. This is not acceptable. BBC must go. The point is that one of these people, I asked, because James Casbolt was exposed to so much of this stuff while he was in the States, and based on his emails and statements to his friends, he was exposed to the ceremonies and rituals where these children are dispatched and killed and ripped apart, and whatever happens. There's a manual how you do this, and it's done by precision, by step by step. And they use 40 children at a time based on other information from some, again, German sources, which they didn't realize the people they were speaking out loud in German, how many children they were going to use, and somebody overheard them, and they didn't think they would understand, but they did, and they got an answer. Yeah, we take 40 children. What? So what? Is basically that. And that's for one particular type of ceremony.
Yeah, it's
Bearing,
really depressing, isn't it?
so bearing in mind 140,000 children go missing in Great Britain a year. Now, a lot of them are recovered, a large proportion are found, but the scale of this is massive. So the point is that Casbolt was exposed and then taking part in these rituals, and everybody who knew him said that the person who went out to the States is not the same person who came back. Something happened terrible. So Casbolt flipped totally into the dark side.
Have you tried writing to him?
No, he's now in jail. Now, the thing is that I've now had a response from a woman called Victoria Mayer, and she has recorded a number of statements and blogs about all this. And the first of those I've now uploaded as Basis 55 Part 1, and that's literally the first response from the Mayers as a group of extraterrestrials inhabiting human bodies to this. And it's very important that we have a civilized dialogue about this, and hopefully there'll be more to come. But Basis 55 took a long time to transcode, which means I suspect it was being accessed remotely while they were transcoding it. And it should now be up on the Basis project on YouTube.
Cool. So has anybody written to Casbolt apart from that little girl Harmony, which
there's an awful lot of nothing happening that way. Casbolt, there are a number of women who seem to be able to contact him, and he seems to have been transferred to a jail in Kent, I think the Isle of Sheppey. I understand that he's been given possibly leave to have an appeal, but I mean he's basically a political prisoner. So essentially, they need him boxed up so that he doesn't talk, and I don't think he'll ever get out of jail.
It's horrible. That 12 years is just...
The 12 years is half the 22 or 24-year sentence he would have got if he hadn't admitted guilt.
Jesus. It's so bad.
And that's because he basically had his child taken away from him. Let's make absolutely no doubt about it, that Casbolt was, putting it mildly, a complete arsehole. I mean, he really was being nasty to people, and that's why I had to report him. He was causing extreme grief to an awful lot of people. And that's the damn phone again.
What a weird ring.
It's a weird ring. And the trouble is, a remote handset you can't disable. You've got to pull the batteries in it.
Ah.
The phone's been going mad all morning, so I've just avoided it. And
no, as I was saying, I think Barry got a bit upset about you salting around the word super soldier.
Super soldier is a marketing term to collectively describe people of various abilities. And because if you have got a marketing term and you're putting it, that Laurie and Fenton brought them together in 3 events, because somebody really is trying to get hold of me on the phone. It's been ringing solid for about 15, 20 minutes. Barry King will not have been trying to get Barry King to do a Basis 1 update. And the point about Barry King, again, is he started this thing in 1993. And he was sorry, the phone was at the background there. He basically broke the story about the Basis, and that's why Basis is called Basis, about the transgenic stuff, which I've said. And he produced, and I helped photocopy all that and distribute it way back in 93, 94, 95. Then the X-Files started at that time. And there's 6 more episodes of the X-Files, I think, starting today. I think maybe they went out on Sunday night. I don't know, 24th. I don't know where the hell they're airing in this country. But it's significant that they're coming back, 6 episodes of that, and what the hell are going to say on that. But the point about the X-Files when they first came out is they were basically talking about what all these things are, which are happening in British bases here. I'm concentrating on the British side of this, that the British are intricately involved with this. This is transhuman, transgenic, cyborg controllable beings. And we're talking about 1 million plus of these things for use off-world in interdimensional aspects of different realities. Observers have seen beings gate in at various certain ancient standing stone sites, because the technology involving the ancient standing stones, our ancestors, they are interdimensional gateways, and the technology and knowledge how to correctly reuse those, we understand, was recovered by John Irwin's, when John Irwin's team got these data banks in 1959. Although, make no mistake about it, there was people seen to be using these gateways for a long, long time before that.
What did you think of the Mike Kaiser chat? Did you? Because a few people have said they don't really believe it. I kind of sucked in all he said, hook, line, and sinker. But then if you Google it, which I haven't had time to, but I Googled it, there's nothing written on it. There's nothing written on this Lord of Death, is there? But he's got all his information from all these ancient Jewish texts.
The thing about it is that people think that that everything will be available online. It won't be.
Oh, right.
People are going to understand that the really important data is only available, using your foot, feet, and hands, and going through the libraries and the ancient material and interpreting the ancient actual text before, bloody Google goes and scans your book in and throws it out there, and they've got no control of it, which is what they're doing. They're ripping off people's written works and texts and information, and because nobody can sue them because they're a great big conglomerate, this stuff's thrown out there. It's then all mashed up, rewritten. People put it on their websites, and it's all screwed up, because they misinterpret it or they take it out of context. And people are going to understand that just if you the Google Wikipedia world, most of it is bullshit. Wikipedia is one of the greatest collection of lies on the face of the earth about people.
It does make sense that there are these lesser gods, and the war is with the gods against.
Yeah, the gods are basically what we would call aliens, and what people are encountering.
Oh, I see. Because
one person's god or alien. I mean, the Masons do all this. They have all these entities come in. They do what the hell they're going to do. These other beings from the lower worlds, astral worlds. They're all messing about with this stuff, and they all think they're right.
Well, then it makes sense with that Colonel Aquino, who has his Temple of Set. Now, he explained to me about the old gods being dead, and now the other gods. And so you see, all these people know about it. What they're doing, they're worshipping these lesser gods because there's a war on. It makes so much more sense. I didn't understand it before. It was all like this angel, and then I thought Satanists were worshipping this angel, and I thought, well, what about, isn't God more powerful? Now it makes a lot more sense.
Well, Satan essentially has been translated or transposed to Saturn, and Saturn, the god Saturn, the god Jove, Jupiter, the Greek gods. But I mean, as I say, our education system essentially only gives you a view on the Roman gods or the Greek gods. And then who are these gods? I mean, the Indian, the stuff that Zachariah Sitchin put out, which Zachariah was, I understand, working for the Vatican. So the whole series of works on the Nephilim and Gilgamesh, which he put in those 12 or 13 books he wrote, had some kind of connection or interest in pushing the Vatican's line on things. So, I mean, these ancient texts and the texts which are excluded from public use the sort of and I think what your guy was talking about, which I haven't been able to listen to in any great volume because of the number of things I've been putting out in the last weekend have been.
Oh, that's okay. We was just talking about the apocrypha and that kind of stuff. And yeah, there's the no such thing as the angel, the fallen angel. It's this lesser god called the Lord of Death, either the Lord of the Dead or the Lord of Death. And humanity did a covenant with him to follow him, basically, from the Guardian of Eden. And now basically this world is in his hands.
Well, the thing about this is when you say humanity, which race and who made this great decision and where was it written down? I mean, if somebody, I mean, I could sit up and say I represent humanity. I'm going to sign a covenant that we all drink Guinness on a Friday at 5 o'clock. That's the great God has decreed this. I mean, it's baloney. Who represents humanity? Who's saying this? Under what circumstances is this representation of humanity? And then you said that Jesus was the person who came down and well, I mean, if you could probably verbalize it better, but I mean,
he came down to undo the
this
covenant.
is all symbolic.
Is it?
I mean, the idea that there's a scroll of paper or parchment locked away in some great, a safe somewhere in a castle in the clouds, that this the covenant's been made for humanity to do. I mean, it's all rubbish. It means something else. There's always a symbology in this stuff.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I haven't studied this, and I'm not qualified.
Maybe it's that we got their minds or something, because they say we've got a reptilian mind, and the Garden of Eden we were innocent, and then all of a sudden we were clever.
Yeah, but the thing is, when people say we've got a reptilian mind, it refers to a part of the physical brain which, from a biology point of view, has got a similar control function that you would find the reptilian lizards and things like that if you cut their heads open. That doesn't mean it's a reptilian brain from the reptilian alien races from Draco.
But what does it mean about that bit in the Garden of Eden? One time we were innocent, next thing we knew. That's got something to do with it, isn't it? That.
Well, the symbol of the snake, and again, what the snake represents, when you take ayahuasca and all that, you start seeing snakes and serpents. This needs, carefully analyzed as to
That's what I was going to talk about. When I did that, I took that Bach flower thing for a long, long time, and a friend of mine was helping me take it. I could envisage it in my head, lots of snakes coming out of my mouth. They were like little black long snakes, and they were like one after the other. And then I got it in sleep as well, that vision of them just coming out of me. It was kind of horrid. I thought that was something to do with spells or something to do with, the childhood stuff. But that's what I saw after taking this Bach flower, which is like a purification thing, really. If you take all of them, which I did, I was knocking them back.
Well, I mean, as a dream representation, that needs properly interpreted. I mean, these are symbols that your mind, your cognitive mind, is making interpretations and transferring it to some kind of concept.
Oh, I see. What do you think it was?
I have no idea. You had the dream.
Yeah. Well, I could see it in my mind's eye. I was sitting in the bath, and it was almost like I was coughing them up. They were just coming out of me. It was horrible.
Well, maybe it's because you speak in forked tongues and it's your guilt complex for being a journalist in Fleet Street.
That's what this Graham Johnson, I was just talking to the audience about Graham Johnson, who's an ex-News of the World, ex-Sunday Mirror. He's always left out of the parties of everyone. He's doing this documentary. He wants to meet me this afternoon after the show to talk about this. He wants to take down the Mail, and he's got backers that want to do it. And he wants to take down the Sun, because seemingly Rebecca is back at the Sun. So he wants me to dish dirt. But dish dirt, I of course, get myself in the shit. He's lied to me.
Well, it's interesting that you did post a comment about that on Facebook, which is now not available.
I took it down. I
So why are you talking about it now?
Oh no, I didn't take it down for any privacy. I often just take down my things off Facebook because I'm sick of seeing them. You turn it on and there it is, and you think, "Oh, don't I sound like an arse?" So you just take it down. You know, I mean, I don't really like airing my problems in public. It makes me seem like I'm weak. But I did want to
And
ask.
nobody's listening to this show, Christine. So nobody will find out about this documentary that's going to take down the Daily Mail, the great British institution of our morals and this of the British Empire, personally held to account by the Daily Mail.
Yeah, they will, but I mean, I'm not going to do that single-handedly, am I? I'm not going to do it full stop. I did say earlier before you came on that I had no intention of shitting on my former employer. Do you think I should contact them?
Well, I'm sure nobody's listening to this, so nobody would ever sneak a copy of this to the Daily Mail. And I'm sure they wouldn't be listening or have any interest in it whatsoever.
I want the
They'd
mail
probably
to.
poo-poo it.
No, no, no. I want the mail to know. I went and rang up a woman that I know who's very well connected, Sylvia Jones, who's really well connected, and I told her, so I know it will get back.
So, I mean, they know about it then.
Yeah, I want them to know about it. Of course, I want them to know about it. It's not in my interest to take down the mail, not at all, or help someone
Well, I
else do it.
thought essentially since the phone hacking scandal, all newspapers in Fleet Street, the so-called mainstream newspapers, were all being controlled by the clutches of the evil aspects of the elements of um, the Secret Intelligence Service in their cloak and dagger world, and there wasn't a free word spoken on any British media anymore. It was
I,
all under the control of them.
I think it is all under the control of them. Yeah, of course it is. Even if Rebecca is back. Yeah, I think it is. It's these individual people that are angry about the hacking that see the news of the world take a fall and they want the others to take a fall. I think so. I don't know, unless it's still all going on and, the state want the Mail to take a fall. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, with based on your intuition, um, what do you think is going on here then?
I think Johnson doesn't mean me very very well. I went to meet him. We spent the day together, and first of all, he said he was going to take down John Boyle, and then by the end of the day, when we were sitting eating cake, and he'd loosened up a bit, he said no one can touch that man. So I'm like, well, why am I sitting here? But then I suppose revenge, I'm full of revenge for him. I guess it's not the best thing. I got criticised about that by some woman underneath the thing. You're full of hatred. Why is Miles putting you up here? And your vibrations aren't higher vibrations, which is what basis is all about. And of course, her vibrations were quite demonically charged. But never mind that, because as long as you speak the speak, I guess it's up there. Ah, what an arsehole. What an arsehole she was.
Um, well, of course, I mean, that's of course basis is about higher positive thinking and exposing the evils of the terrible things which are being sent going on, so that humanity can have the choice of selecting themselves for a better, more positive past, as opposed to dream walking into a cyborg future with implants in our heads, if we even survive with physical bodies left at all. Um, I mean, obviously, the kind of work that you've been doing in the newspapers has been disgusting and absolutely abhorrent, and I'm absolutely shocked. I mean, it's just terrible.
We all have dark sides. We do have a dark side. I
We
mean,
do.
mine with Boyle, I suppose I do hate him. It's hard because he knew that I'd struggled in the past. He was a multimillionaire. Now he's even got richer, but at that point he was a multimillionaire. And, it was after we made love and he sat on the edge of the bed and he had my phone number and he started like asking in a sneaky way for my mobile and my email. And basically he hacked me and took all my clients away and brought in hacking to Fleet Street. I guess I can't forgive that sitting on the edge of the bed thing. I mean, it was done any other way, or it's just the intimacy of
I mean,
was
surely that was basically to supremely insult and and really undermine you, and it's worked because you're still talking about it. You're still bitter about it.
yeah, it has. Yeah, it has. What was the other word you used? Undermine and what?
Uh, your confidence. It essentially he must have read your And when I say read your profile, he would have. They must have done what a lot of these creatures do, is that they everybody has got a set of profiles and pluses and minuses and triggers. What he did was he specifically got right in under your defenses and humiliated you,
Yeah, he did.
took your whole livelihood away from you,
Yeah.
and threw you out on the street, effectively.
Yeah.
So, what does Christine Joanna Hart want to do about a thing like that? You're a smart girl. You've got abilities that you were able to use to find all those stories and to do that. What do you, in your considered opinion, want to do about it, except, rather than just sit here and moan about the bloody thing all the time?
Well, I tried to forgive. Like these women were saying, oh, you got to have higher vibes and you got to love and, and all this kind of stuff and not hate. I've marinated in hatred since 2008. And the more things like my book flopping and not being able to put things right and to just sending into a state where money is a massive issue and he's living like in an £8 million gated house and not one person has pointed at him and said, bad person, you brought in the phone hacking. It's
I mean, does he give a damn? That was his job. He got rid of you, a spy, who was able to find a whole lot of stuff that somebody obviously didn't want exposed. So, therefore, what is his vulnerable position? What and who's he working for? He's obviously working for
he works
somebody.
for MI6. He works for MI6, and that should have been exposed as well in the Goddard. The whole shebang should have been exposed, and it wasn't.
Well, I've never.
The state.
MI6, Christine, like all government organizations, is basically broke, right?
Okay.
I'm sure MI6 and various other agencies probably deal with a lot of dirty money so that their stuff can be done off the radar, and that's not rocket science. It's just the way the world works.
Oh, you're saying he
So
works for.
where does your dear friend Boyle, get his money from? Because he hasn't got his £8 million house because he's doing a couple of dodgy jobs for MI6. He must have been paid independently. In other words, he's not really working for MI6. He must be working for somebody else.
Like who?
I don't know. Maybe the big bad wolf. He's going to blow your house down. I mean, think the problem through, Christine. You're very smart, and sitting on these radio shows, mumbling and moaning about, oh, I've had a hard time. Kind of move on from that. Use your noggin and work out the solution.
What? Get revenge on him or forgive? Like
You
Jesus
don't
Christ.
take revenge on anybody, because revenge masks your higher cognitive powers, and you make mistakes. That's why revenge should never be. You should never take revenge on anybody or anything.
In which case, I might as well just let it go.
Well, yes, just let it go.
Really?
You've been taught a lesson, but you're not learning from it.
What's the lesson I've been taught?
Well, the lesson that you've been taught is you had a brilliant talent. You were doing something at Fleet Street. You did something which obviously annoyed other people, or something happened which meant they needed to get rid of you, or stop you from operating. Or, like a lot of the super soldiers and people in this particular business that we're talking about, a lot of them were specifically engineered around about 2008, 2009, focusing mostly, I think, on 2010. A lot of individuals in this particular subject we're talking about were all manipulated from their cubby holes and wonderful, warm, supportive jobs and careers, and placed on this board table, dealing with all this stuff about corruption, the whole pedophilia thing, the whole thing we're talking about, the ETs, the secret government, or whatever, this whole subject. And there's a number of individuals who all find themselves in this particular situation, because that means there's a need for people like yourself and others in this particular sphere of talent. Everybody's got different talents, unique abilities, and they've all been placed in a situation where they're now able to devote their full creative forces and elements and talents to deal with this.
So, what was the lesson? Hello?
Sorry, my mute button got stuck.
Oh.
Well, the lesson for you is it has to be based on your personal circumstances, your personal thought processes, and things going through your particular life at that time, what happened before on the run up to it, and what's happening now. How do you survive? Right now, you're a radio host. You're breaking new ground. I think a lot of us are breaking new ground.
This doesn't pay, so
Of course, it doesn't pay, but it
I'm going
gets
to
you
end it pretty
exposure.
damn
Yeah.
soon. Exposure for what? It's not going to lead to any. It won't lead to any payment. So, I mean,
Well, I learned a long time ago in the pirates, and when you're dealing with the ETs, you never make money working with the damn aliens. And when you're on assignment, which you would seem to be on, uh, they don't understand cash flow and they don't understand energetics when it comes to, anyway, we have to be more creative and make money somehow, because that in itself becomes a distraction.
what do you mean?
Well, because you're constantly focusing on, oh, I don't have any money, I don't have any money. That's what you create. You create that situation. You don't have any money because you're constantly thinking about it. Do you
Right.
get what you create?
Right.
Some people call it poverty thinking.
So, what do you do to get out of that then?
Well, the first thing you do is don't continually think, well, I've got no money, I've got no money. You've got to reconfigure your senses to explore the problem and deal with that problem in a focused and determined manner, and then create. I mean, this is one of the things McBolan mentioned. He mentioned that we've got the ability, we've got this metagene. Now, whether we have this metagene or not is largely irrelevant. And with an awful lot of this stuff, it's not the actual statements which are made by people, it's what it means in the context of what it's said in. Right?
Oh, so the lesson was that it was more than I know, and maybe it was some kind of fucking Draco shit that
You're
took me
swearing
down.
again, Christine. You
Oh,
can't swear.
sorry,
You're on
I
the
said the word
wireless.
shit. So that it was Draco or something that took me down, maybe not this humanoid creature
Are you saying that
sitting.
the Dracos took you down?
Is that what you're trying to say?
No,
Well,
I'm not saying that.
oh, okay.
You have to decide. I mean, now what you're doing is you're being a typical little victim girl, and you're just not using your head when you say stupid things like that.
You said try and work out what Boyle is, what he is. He's nothing higher, I can tell you that much, even though you've got the middle
If Boyle has
class.
managed to get some money together to live in a nice house, that's up to him. And good
Yeah,
luck to him.
okay, fine.
And I mean, if anybody's got enough money and they've managed to scrape some readies together, fine. If they've managed to do it, great. Just because you haven't done it doesn't make them bad.
He took everything I had, and he'd known me since I was 19. He
Oh,
knew
you've
I'd
known them for a long
struggled.
time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he knew I'd struggled, and he just came in with his millions and took my little bit that I'd got. That's the whole thing of it. It's like, Jesus.
Well, if it was me, I'd beat the living crap out of him and make sure he knew it. But that wasn't actually, that may not actually accomplish anything really positive, because that's a vengeance anger thing. And you see, there you go again, saying, "Oh, little me, my little bit, I lost it. Dear me, what am I going to do?" I mean, a bully. I mean, I think a thing like that, like this particular gentleman Boyle, and I don't know the guy. I'm talking conceptually here and not personally. Let's make that perfectly clear. Purely from a conceptual point of view, if an individual does that to you, deprives you of whatever it is, what the hell are you going to do about it? You're going to sit by the side and cry into your sandpit that this nasty man has taken my thing away, and what am I going to do about it? Wait for daddy to come and give you a new teddy bear.
No, I wrote In for the Kill. That got published by Random House. That had details of him in there and what happened, and it flopped, basically.
Well, just because, well, I mean, it's like when you sell any particular specialized bit of information, if it's sold in the wrong climate, you get no money for it. You gotta hang fire or relaunch it and reproduce this. I mean, what's this documentary you're talking about? I mean, they're just going to try. Somebody's going to make a TV program and explain how nasty the Daily Mail is because they do nasty things and find out about things in a nasty way. What a terrible, shocking thing! Oh dear, that's not going to pull the bloody newspaper down.
No, I know.
Newspapers are in business for selling and printing copies and selling. That's their business, and they'll do whatever they're going to do to sell those copies. If their strategy, which is the current
Well,
strategy,
the News of the World did come crashing down.
well, the news of the world, it would appear, was a pawn donated because, as we all know, Murdoch is the whipping boy. So while people are saying nasty things about Rupert Murdoch, people are ignoring the nasty things done by other media organizations, such as the Daily Mail or whatever.
Oh, so
So
that
this
was
is the
just
whole thing about the way that the media works. Everything bad that's ever happened in British media or the entire British Empire ever is all Rupert Murdoch's fault. Murdoch, like anybody at this particular level of the game, isn't not necessarily a nice, sweetie little person. He's done his empire. He's got what he's got, and he's done it. And he's whatever way he's done it, that's fine. Because that's what happens. Let's not be little schoolgirls crying into our milk here. But what's happening is that there's an awful lot of other individuals in control of the media in Britain or whatever industry you're talking about. The big sharks, big people, big deals, competition. It's nature.
yeah. So Graham
Big fish,
Johnson,
small fish.
Graham Johnson won't take down the Daily Mail like he hopes.
If anybody thinks that by producing a documentary, which can be simply, it'll air one night or maybe twice, they'll put it out on some station. It'll get about 5 people watching it, or maybe it'll get 5 million people watching it, or maybe it'll get 100 million people watching it. But they'll switch over, see another thing next day, and forget about it. Which is, I mean, I'm doing all this stuff, and I think I'm doing it for some reason. I mean, I'm spending all day or whatever it is. I mean, it's ultimately anybody who produces a body of work. Maybe I'm being over cynical there. I mean, you produce a book, you produce a television program, you produce a play, you produce a film to convey a message to the public consciousness. And for that to be dismissed as just irrelevant, I mean, that's a bit harsh, but it's probably true. Because the way that the media has exploded and the number of things which are being mentioned, I mean, ultimately, I mean, if you could look at it I mean, humanity, a civilization, everything on Earth is created. They live their lives, and ultimately, because in the end everything turns to dust, what's the point in anything? I mean, that's another cynical way of doing it, I suppose. In which case, why does anybody live? Why does anything happen? So that's not a fruitful form of thought or discussion.
I can't stand the way we're here and we don't really know what's gone on. Like talking to that Mike Kaiser about the ancient texts and all that, and he tells me one thing, and then other people go, "No, that's not true anyway." And it's horrible.
But when somebody says it's not true, these kind of people are flippant dismissal gobshites. This is something based on work, which somebody has researched, and they've got that information. And because it's not on Google or some damn search engine, somebody says, "Oh, that's to just dismiss it." This is how a lot of the intellectuals, the intellectual elite, when it comes to dismissing other people's research and work, do so in the most childish and pathetic, mentally sick way. They will dismiss other people's works and steal it like 5-year-olds. So when somebody dismisses somebody's work like that, under what grounds do they dismiss that work? What counter evidence based on their research and work based on that? How do they answer that? Well, for somebody just to flippantly say, "Oh, it's not true," they're just pathetic. They're irrelevant.
Why do we have stuff in the Bible like Jesus supposedly saying, I saw Lucifer fall like lightning from the sky? Well, if that's Lucifer falling, who's Lucifer then? Is he another god?
Well, the problem about all of this stuff in the Bible, it's been so heavily rewritten so that it can essentially convey concepts of fear and control to an illiterate population. And in many respects, the population is no more literate today than they were 2,000 years ago. Most people don't have an understanding, don't want to know an understanding about the greater aspects of creation and control. Nothing really has changed. Most people are sitting here tapping into their stupid iPhones or their smartphone. They're playing silly games. They're doing silly conversational things on Facebook or whatever. And the collective manner in how people get up, live, feed themselves, and just live a daily life is all basically the same. And at the moment, an awful lot of people are having a terrible time based on the controlling structures of pretty sick individuals. And that's not acceptable.
I don't like the way it's like we have to live like we're in a little box and we don't know any better and stuck with other people that don't give a shit about that. And it's
Well,
really
those individuals are doing that. You're aware of it, so you don't need to live in that environment. So you need to move and motivate out of that. And likewise, others who are aware of this, just move to a different territory somehow.
what, a little town in England where everyone's enlightened, you mean?
Well, if you can do that, I mean, re-editing Dr. Rowney Kilder's interview. She was a targeted individual. She was murdered a year ago by the abuse of covert technology, and she was fighting against that. She was a very brave woman, and I've mentioned that several times. But the point is that she moved to an area in Norway which did have enlightened people, and they were able to live happily. And maybe that's what people need to do. They need to move to an area which is, a case of finding out where it is, where you have a climate and a collection of peers who are thinking in the same sort of way that you are.
You don't have that in the UK, do we? We don't have.
Pardon?
We don't have that. We don't have somewhere in the UK full of enlightened people.
Well, I would tend to agree with you, quite honestly, having traveled so far and up and down this country. It's completely dead. It's a complete dead loss. It
is a dead loss. I enjoyed California. I found the people there were pretty thinking about higher things. They were. And then I get back here and people are just thinking about house prices. House prices. Here, they think about politics, what political party and their different manifestos, and house prices. That's all they think about, and dinner parties, nothing else. And it's not even anything creative. And out in California, they're not only creative, but they think about higher things.
The whole point about California is that people left the cloisters and the suppression of ideas in Europe, and they went to America in the first place. They just got the hell out.
Oh, I see.
Unfortunately, west coast of the United States, California, is about as far as you can go on this planet. And I think people are trying to find somewhere else to actually have a free thinking, creative life, because the structures of control of the so-called civilized world are a stifle to any creative thought. And I find it... some people decide to go to Australia, but that's the middle of nowhere, and it's full of flies and bloody awful spiders, and it's got crap beer.
Crap beer.
And the other thing about it is it's full of bloody Australians. Anyway, nothing like making friends and influencing people. Some people go to the higher mountains of, and live in a climate of, some people live on an island somewhere, in isolation, and, it's a big problem. Right now, California is covered in methane gas, apparently, and they're all going to die.
Oh, God, really? That's horrible, because the people there are really nice.
Well, that's what this big rupture, there's a huge gas storage thing rupturing. I was talking about that last time, I think.
Haven't they fixed it?
Have no idea. I don't watch the news. I've given up. There's so much fiction and rubbish.
Huh. We're going to break if you'd like to grab a cup of tea and come back in 2 minutes without
I'll
hanging
do
up.
that.
See you in 2 minutes.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, but above all, we believe in freedom of existence through self-reliance. This station is 100% listener supported, and as a fundraising promotion, I have a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if food prices go crazy, the shit hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our seed pack special. Just look for the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need, as humans, to start taking care of ourselves and not depending on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning how to do everything website all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What we do in life, it goes in eternity.
Hi, and we're back on. Miles, are you still there? Did you get your tea? Miles?
Hello, how are you doing?
Oh, did you get your tea?
I got my coffee, and I got my message from my accountant.
You're doing an American accent?
Probably saying I should pay more money or something to the tax man.
Oh, that shit, yeah. Anyway, that guy, Greg.
Oh, there you go,
Johnson-
swearing again. I mean,
Oh,
young girl.
sorry, I
We
know.
were
Somebody
brought up
said
in
to me,
any manners.
someone threatened my car. I had to ring the cops and inform them about it. Someone threatened to smash up my car because I said the C word. But I have to say, I said the C word because I was watching that Celebrity Big Brother. And everyone was saying it. And I thought, oh, it's hip and young. I want to be hip and young. And so I said it on my next show. Anyway, it's put me off for life. This guy said, I'm going to go out and see your car. You'll find it damaged. My car is damaged. It's an old banger. It's completely smashed up. Like before, you know, a stranger might get to it. So, but I reported him to the cops. I thought, I'm not having that, you know.
Well, I think that's just damn right.
Yeah. Sod. Anyway, I don't want to waste time talking about him. I wanted to talk to you quickly before we go back to talk about Casbolt. What actually involves him, because he said something about this astral, working on the astral, and I had this very lucid dream, and it was like a part of me that was really busy doing plenty of stuff. It was mostly looked like it was like assassinations or some kind of horrible like it just wasn't nice to see bloody sort of, you know.
I think you're referring to the Mukai pack.
The what?
He got a lot of people involved with a online group called the Moo Pack.
No, nothing. No. Let's pause on him for a sec. No, this is totally separate. I had this lucid dream about being like active in I was either assassinations or something horrid was going on to do with, you know, it was like a military thing, and I followed this girl who looked like me down this kind of road, and I caught up with her and I asked her, who are you? I knew it was a part of me, and she turned, and then she turned back again, and when she turned, her whole body, it went like a chameleon thing where it went kind of black and it kind of disappeared, and then it appeared again as a shock and it attacked me, and I managed to get her alone. And there's another bit I've written it down, I can't remember now, and she communicated to me that it was a part of me, or maybe something else communicated, that it was a part of me that split off at a certain point. And it was interesting because I remember that point. I've always remembered that point. It was in a history lesson, and a teacher spun round and looked at me, and all of a sudden I I went from being really, really clever and brainy and getting top marks to failing, and I failed deliberately. It was like my mental energy had gone somehow. And I blamed my mother. I hated my mother for years because I thought it was something to do with her, something to do with her bitchiness and spite that made me suddenly let go. It almost felt like I was holding on to a lot of helium balloons and then I suddenly let go. Anyway, in this lucid dream, it was explained to me what happened. The teacher had something to do with it, with cutting me off, but splitting that a part of me off, and this part of me came out, and these beings, whatever they were, bandaged that part of me up and told me that the school had there'd been an explosion at the school and I was now dead, and to come with them. And because I had no family, did I want to go into this school, like a kind of a spy school, and do training and go on to work for them? And I'd agreed to it, but really, I wasn't dead at all. Do you know what I mean? That was this lucid dream I had. It was weird, and I opened my eyes and then went back into it and opened my eyes again. So it was like I could go back into it, and it was just this part of me that was taken and had always been missing. And it was weird because she was like in this kind of place where it was really, really quite lonely, and there was no kind of nothing could reach her. She was just working and just working non-stop. And I remembered somebody on your bases had talked about that working in the astral. I did speak to a guy called Nathan Luke, as I had on the show, about M culture, and he said, oh, they use every bit of us. They make sure they use every bit, like squeezing out a rag. So you can have one. You've gone a bit. Can you speak? You sound like a Dalek.
Hello, Dalek. Yeah.
Yeah, you sound a bit like a Dalek, Mars, when you speak.
Oh, well, I tell you what, that probably means I'll have to come back online then.
Okay, hang
Have
up.
to redial. Yeah, I'll
Hang
redial.
up,
Okay.
and then I'll ring you. Oh,
Yeah.
he's got.
Okay.
Okay, I'll ring you. Okay, sorry, listener, this is a bit boring for you. Probably the show itself has been boring, but I can't do anything about that. Okay, so Miles. That should bring up a lot of people under that name. Oh, here we are, Miles Johnson, and I can then put on that, and I can ring him and bring him back. Hopefully he won't sound like a Dalek. Oh, boring. Well, it's not working. How embarrassing. Okay, let's try and bring him up there. And now let's press add to call.
Hello.
Oh, are you back?
Yeah, I just realized I'd put my red thing on, so you couldn't actually dial me. So, am I okay?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little bit Dalek-y. Try and put your mouth close to the microphone, yeah?
Is that okay?
That's much better, yeah, much better. So you were saying, Sarah...
Radio. Okay, I'll do it this way. I need to get a mic stand.
It's definitely you. Okay, you were all right before you went for tea, so have you changed anything?
No.
Okay.
Am I still a Dalek?
Sometimes it's okay. Anyway, Sarah Adams was it who said this, yeah?
Well, I would imagine it would be Sarah. I'm not too aware of too many dreams that Casbolt had.
But I remember, I think in one of his lectures he said about doing stuff in the astral and...
Casbolt only ever gave one lecture, and that was to the barge.
Yeah, it was on that barge thing. I'm pretty sure of it. He mentioned it. It's hateful to have to go...
Most of that, what he said at the barge, was basically a repeat of what he already gave on an interview, which I put out as, I think, base 24, 34, or whatever hell damn number it is. It's a collection of the last interviews with Casbolt.
Okay, but you don't offhand remember about them using people in the astral?
I don't remember most of what I've edited because you're concentrating on so many things when you're doing an edit that you don't listen to the collective. You don't sit back. I haven't had time to sit back and watch a lot of the stuff in a way that a normal viewer would watch it. I'm watching for technical aspects about clips being edited in the right place, color imagery of the thing, and the sound. A lot of the time, the sound's a big problem because I don't have sound, man. So one thing or other always needs a lot of correction when you do a shoot, which is why when you have professional TV crews, there's about 3 or 4 people there. Anyway, don't let get into that, Miles. The thing is, Christine, you're obviously able to have an awful lot of recall and memory of your other sensory recollections. And that means you've got a very important talent and you should be properly exploiting that.
How?
The thing is, you've got the mind has got basically 2 eyes. You've got the physical outer world eye, which you see optically with the eyes, and they see things. The brain then takes that in, and that's essentially an external signal. But you have the mind's eye, or what people call a third eye, and that unfortunately is the thing that so many people corrupt with drugs and ayahuasca and all sorts of things, so they can basically get through or plod along like a dumb snail through this world. You've got the ability, and I'm saying this because others listening will have the ability to see with clarity and recall what they've seen using their mind's eye. And what you're seeing is a distortion of various things based possibly on simple foods and things you may have had. But the point is, the fact that you were able to get all that information when you were paid a paltry 150 grand a year was, that's what your ability was. That was a good thing. What's happened is Boyle, I suspect, and the people who are running Boyle decided to knock you down because you've got that ability. Well, what I'm suggesting is that you just, instead of moaning about it, because they've got you very well distracted in the victim mode, is to use your abilities to fight back.
But I've been trying to do that with writing and stuff.
Well, no, not well. You can do your writing, yeah, that's fine. You've got the ability, and you're talking about your man Aquino and all that lot. You're meeting all those sort of people. You've got Joanne, so Angela, dealing with you in the astral. You've got all these recalls about the astral. So why don't you go and do it in the astral and have a good time?
Oh, hang
In
on.
the astral. I mean,
Oh.
let's get extra dimensional here
Oh,
and
that's
kick
interesting.
ass.
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you. You're so horrid.
Me? I'm a nasty, nasty man. Who knows? You probably have Marie Kayali after me now.
Who's she? I don't know who she is.
Oh, Marie is a fantastic woman, absolutely outstanding. Head full of implants, done a hell of a lot. Terrible things happened, and she just wants to live her life and get on with it. And I shouldn't say that. Even she'll classify that as harassment, probably. But anyway, the story of Marie Kayali is available on Basis. It's about 10 or 12 episodes. It's all about After Gina with Marie Kayali. She is a brilliant Irish woman who was very high level accountant in the city and married the son of the Syrian intelligence agency, and her daughter was murdered, and that's a case which is still open, although they've officially quashed it. Her daughter was murdered during the shooting of the documentary Confessions of an Alien Abductee for Channel 4, and she was humiliated and virtually all the people on that program, in order to basically stop the evolution of the Amash project and the ability to get good recall from witnesses and targeted individuals. So I've been doing that anyway with Basis, and Amash has sort of gone by the side. But the thing was, she had a crucial, with McBolan was able to mention that there were certain abilities some of the ET-related higher sensory humans have, and that's the ability to instantly access 5 people, take full recall of what they're doing in their heads before they actually can verbalize and visualize their thoughts and express them physically, and report that information back to somebody else. And Marie could do that. She's very, very good, very sharp, fantastic. She's tortured and gone through absolute hell, and
Your mic's a bit
God
funny
bless.
again. Your mic's a bit funny. I wonder why it's gone like that. Fuck.
Oh, let's. Hello?
That's a bit better.
That any better? I'll just use the laptop mic. Is that any better?
Yes, it is better. Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's about Marie, and the point about it was, the point about the whole thing is that you've clearly demonstrated an ability to do astral work in the astral. There's another guy at the Basis Project called Matthew Todd, or Matt Todd, and he was connected with Casbolt. And he was able to explain how you can, and the same with Rowney Kilda, Dr. Rowney Kilda, you can go into the astral and you have physical, you can affect things physically. So, Christine, you've got that ability. Go and do your traveling under controlled conditions and kick ass.
The thing is, though, I mean, I did it. I was just going off to sleep after I met Graham Johnson on the Friday, and it came into my consciousness that he'd kind of just been screwing me around and wanted to nail me rather than anything else. He started looking at my Bases interview and texted me about that. So he's like doing a number on me, really, not anything else. And I was laying on my bed, and I felt really angry. And it's like I went into a place where he was, and I stood facing him, and I threw some kind of stuff at him, which wound him up. And then I stuck him on the ceiling, and he was begging me to come down. And I said, "You wasted my whole afternoon, so you'll stay up there for the amount of time that you wasted my afternoon for." And then I kind of went off, and then I came back and said, "But hang on, you brought me cake. All right, 2 hours." But I mean, how do you know, I mean, that this stuff isn't just pure imagination? Do you know what I mean?
Well, it can be pure imagination, and this is the whole point about when you do any remote viewing stuff, or you do any of this stuff which is out of the physical. Because in the physical world, you have got immediate feedback, right? Your immediate feedback is that if you lift up a pen and write something down, it's got a physical thing you can see, but it's no more real or unreal than in the astral, the so-called astral. The point about it is you don't see the feedback.
Oh.
So you're not sure it's actually happened. And that's one of the things about remote viewing, is to get good feedback. You can see something, you probably did see it, you got all the actual information, but you're not actually sure it's actually happened. Because we're not really existing in these bodies as such. We are connected through them to them by what some people call it, silver cord. So we're really only expressing our existence in what we would call a life or a reality, in these sort of crystalline focused images, which we call matter. All matter is, or what we call matter, is the focal plane, the focus point of energetic wavefronts, and everything else is just empty space. But if you shift that focus slightly, you're in a different energetic space or dimension. The thing about it is that when you do remote viewing of what you've been doing, and you go and put somebody up on the ceiling, that is a real world in terms of the cognitive perception of your expression of your thought in that particular place. Now, if you connect that person that you just shoved up on the ceiling with their actual perception in whatever source reality we are in this matrix, that we want to call it that, he'll then feel that as an actual.
What will he feel, though?
Well, he'll feel the frustration of being stuck up on the ceiling and stuck there, as if it was physically done by a gorilla or something in real life. And that is the problem about our matrix reality construction. It's under attack. There's elements of it which are failing or changing or something's going on at source.
What do you mean? That makes this kind of thing possible, you mean?
Yeah, but it means that what's happened is you've been struck down from the imaginary world of Fleet Street, and you're all pissed off about that.
Mm-hmm.
And Boyle's probably done you a favor. They found out, this is Psychor, right? They basically found out you've got a lot of abilities, you're wasting your time doing all these stupid stories for stupid newspapers or whatever the hell they're doing. Mm-hmm. You were able to get right into source in terms of the IRA. You're able to get right through all the normal checks and balances to the head. People are going to get right through to the source of these killers, which means you've got the ability to get through into something which is really dangerous, which means you are a weapon system. So what you need to do is get configured targeting to find out what's dealing with society at the moment. And we're under attack. So what you need to do, Christine, is you need to use your astral world traveling to locate a disguised enemy. Now, you've seen this before, and it kept focus, it kept shifting it, modulating its shields. You can attack and take out the so-called sort of etheric, shielded, invisible ones which are attacking humanity, and that's your mission, and that's you got to do that.
Well, how do you know that's my mission?
That's why you've been taken. That's why you've been. They've done a number of. We have got a parasitic control entity which is giving us false echoes, false illusions in our reality. And you've got the ability. You're one of the few who've got the ability to see through that and target and take out those creatures which are pushing that false reality. And that makes you extremely important.
To who?
To the survival of humanity and this planet. You can take out the bloody spiders. The replicators, if we want to call them, from the TV series Stargate.
But don't I have to work for somebody? I can't do something on my own because, I mean...
Well, that's it. We got to take these targets. We got to take these replicators out. Things which are creating false illusions of our reality.
I did get something when you put me up on bases. I got a lot of people coming to look at me, which I suppose I expected.
What do you mean look at you?
Well, just like in the astral, I was trying to get off to sleep, and there was just like presences coming to sort of look at me, and I knew it was from your bases. It was curiosity. I mean, there weren't nothing bad, but it was just I thought, well. So this, Miles has put me up there, and now I've got lots of entities curious. I suppose it was maybe your fans, curious, astrally awake fans who are curious, and they come and look. And, one of them, I complained to one of them who said to me, oh, you just need to put a covering over you. So I did that, and actually I don't get it anymore. So that was pretty damn good advice. But then I had something like a woman attack me really badly, and I escaped from her. But I remember the next day when I was driving, it came into my consciousness because she said, she shouted at me, this is not a dream. This is not a dream. And then started attacking me really badly. And when I was driving, I felt the awareness of that. And I think the two worlds, it's hard to be in a physical world and be aware of the astral to any great degree because it's...
The astral you're talking about is real.
What?
We're in the false world. We've got a matrix reality construct problem.
Oh, that's interesting what you've just said. Oh, right.
That person's screaming at you.
What do you mean?
This is something that Kieran's talked about, Kieran Lee Perrin. I think I had a spider on my microphone. I just want to check. Kieran Lee Perrin's talking about.
Oh, that's much better, for God's sake.
Yeah, I know. That was what's on. I had a spider on the damn mic.
Oh.
So the thing is that that's our reality our consciousness is being attacked at source, so that we generate a reality which is a false reality, which is, i.e., that it's controlled by the so-called AI, or the artificial intelligence. I mean, really, the names are irrelevant. The point is,
Well, it's
you've been
it,
detected.
yeah, it's hard to do that. Like when I was driving, it's I remembered that woman said, "Wake up," and it was like I sort of did for a minute, but it didn't feel that great. It felt scary. I felt scared.
Well, yes, well, it would. The point is that that woman probably found out you could deal with it and was screaming like hell. They bloody well, it's like somebody shouting across a football stadium, and to try and get a message across in a crowd. The thing is that when you're driving, you can go into your mind sort of can drift off because you're just dribbling along, and and your attention. It's one mechanism where you can, your cognitive intelligent mind is basically bored, and it then pays minimal attention. I mean, people aren't going to like this because when you're driving, but the point is, when you're driving, you're just looking at one particular thing, get sensory overload because I mean, when you see a lot of people driving, they're off their trolleys. They're in a different state. They're in a different mental state.
You're right.
I mean, if you look at most people driving down the middle lane in England, they're completely out to lunch. They don't see what's behind them or what's in
Out
front of
to
them.
lunch.
They're completely out of the trolleys.
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
They're listening to the radio if you're lucky. But half of them are completely myopic. They don't know what's going on.
I know. So yeah, I was in this. Yeah, I was. I guess I was in that
So
state.
therefore, your consciousness was able to your more perceptive consciousness started to think about this woman, and then you
Yeah.
started getting more data on it.
Yeah, and I started to feel, what? Hang on, block that out, because it just felt weird. The two realities, they don't really match together, do they? I don't want to get
No, they
sort of.
don't. And this reality's got a contamination problem. I mean, there was somebody I knew who was using a particular type of machine. I won't go to the details, but they were driving a motorhome and hundreds of miles across the States or Europe or where the hell it was. And they suddenly realized that they'd gone back into an earlier lifetime. And she was driving their motorhome and had shifted back into a previous life in ancient Rome. And then she sort of looked at herself, my God, and then woke up, and shifted back into her current reality.
Yes, it's weird. So I was talking to Laurie and Fenton about that, because when I got when Aquino kept taking me out of my body, I was having continuous consciousness. I wasn't going to sleep. I was putting my head down on my pillow, and then he was taking me off somewhere. And quite frankly, I didn't want to go off with him. And I went to Douglas Dietrich for help. He said to call Laurie and Fenton. So I called Laurie and Fenton, and she said to me, "Oh, that's what happened to James Casbolt. The astral became more real." She said, "You've got to block that out." So I assumed that when I was getting that, when I drove, that kind of remembering that woman shouting at me, that I should block it because it was somehow dangerous.
Well, no, I would disagree with blocking it. What you've got to do is learn the difference between which reality you're in.
Right.
What you're being given there by Aquino and Lorien by saying that, and is that you're being trained to run on those different astral levels whilst you're still in this body and alive. Now, John Irwin had to go through the death process for him to be able to go to many different realities and existences and dimensions. If you've got the ability to do that, you can shift your focus. You're being trained. This is like boot camp. You've been given the ability you've got the ability to exist and focus and cognitize in what we call the astral. What we're, and the important thing is you've got to maintain an understanding where your actual plug-in point here is, and your plug-in point, I'm using an engineering term, is you're accessing those other realities from your body here. And that is where your actual reality is.
What, there?
Your body that you're in now.
Oh, right.
But you're using that as an address point to access other realities, which you have physical, actual power in. Now, what Aquino has been done, this fits. You've been placed into an environment deliberately. Basically, you qualified as a super soldier weapons system. Kieran Lee Perrin, he's been told he's a British super soldier with implants. What he is demonstrating or explaining is there are various versions of him in different realities, and they're all fighting a bloody war.
Well, that's what I've experienced too. Has he experienced that?
Yeah.
That's what I've experienced. I was fighting a war, and I tell you, it was it was nasty. I didn't like it. And there was a black guy in there, and this black guy, I had a little, like a thing that you find in spirit levels, like a thing you tip, that yellowy thing inside. And I had it, and when I used to hold it in my hand, and when I tipped it, I could disappear and go off to another different place. And this black guy grabbed, when we were fighting each other, very nastily, I might add. I managed to wound him, and then he got my like tiny spirit level thing, and he tipped it, and he vanished, and then I went off again, and I was watching me, and I was trying to get me because she seemed like really, really lonely, but she was just busy.
Who is she?
It was a part of me, but she was really, she was working. And then when I fell back towards my physical body, I got that memory, but it was more intense, of the teacher turning round at Mr. Grove in history, turning around and looking at me. And I remember this physically, in the physical. I remember that a part of me just went, and I was about 14, and it went. And I remember that because it was like my intelligence, not my intellect, but a very, very clever part of me was just taken, and I've had to manage without it, which has been, it's the intellectual side of me. That's why I talk the way I do. I talk a little bit simply. It's that part of me that was really good at exams, that would have grown up to be someone that could talk in a very intellectual way.
Well, it's still there. Just access and switch it back on.
Yeah. Well, what, her? I mean, she's not in my body, I don't think. I don't know how to get her back.
She is in your body. You're all connected.
Oh, I see.
You've generated something. You've created, or somebody's created a thing where you're not connected, but you are. That's an illusion. Break it down. Throw it away.
Oh, I see. So what did this Lee Perrin, what did he say about his?
Well, Kieran has got a number of very large implants, which quite frankly look so big they look like hair clips, to be honest.
Right.
And he has been pushing the interdimensional super soldier side of things. This is one of the whole things about the so-called super soldiers, is that their ability to war in different reality levels.
Yeah, that's what I'm. That's
the black guy which we dealt with, that I dealt with, was a guy called Dave Marrow, and he would hulk out. He'd fight in different worlds, and but he got one of the. There's a phrase, cosmic insects, yeah, and that's a new term which comes from the Scuttlers side of things, and so we've got a contaminated reality situation problem, and we've got to fight in those domains and regain our territorial areas in these other realities.
But what is you saying that guy was fighting wars, and I saw myself as fighting? Literally, I was fighting non-stop. What am I fighting? Not to my agenda?
No, you're a soldier.
For who? Whose army?
Us. Our reality. You see, the thing about you've got to understand that when these concepts are put out in the public domain, like Young's split beam experiment and whether Schrodinger's cat is alive or dead in the box, that's a cognitive reality event. Our cognition, I call it the reality management system, the RMS. The reality management system's got viruses.
Right.
Our cognitive abilities, our consciousness, our perception creates reality. We have a functionality based on our cognitive interface with the sort of plastic stuff of fluidic reality. We can crystallize that and make things based on our thought consciousness. What's happening is, I call it the 13th terminal in a 12 terminal network. The other 12 terminals don't know there's a 13th terminal, so there's rogue data in the network. And so they don't know where the rogue data comes from. They just assume it comes from one of the other 12 terminals, but it doesn't. We've got a virus, a hidden source of information. Now, I'm using network computing as a mechanism to describe this, but what you're able to see something which constantly shifts. You're able to detect the so-called 13th terminal or the rogue elements within the cognitive reality. Now, it keeps shifting. You've seen it. So what it's doing is it's constantly putting in like an antivirus shield up so you don't see it. But you're able to spot that. So what you can do is you can drill down and target and access what that thing actually is. And that's what you've got to do. And the point is, as soon as you access it, it's going to probably have another firewall built in, so you see a different illusion again. You've got to drill through that and keep hitting until you drill through that, find target, and blow the damn thing to living hell. We've got a consciousness invasion from multiple dimensions coming in and manipulating our collective consciousness in terms of what reality is. And if you think of things out of the three-dimensional box, in terms of an alien invasion, that's how it would work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the so-called super soldiers are the frontline defense of our cognitive reality and existence in maintaining our stable existence here.
What? So when I was fighting, who was my officer commanding?
I haven't a clue. You
How do
wouldn't
I-
have an officer commanding because they wouldn't have a fixed structure like that. It has to shift. Your officer commanding will have to be in a facility somewhere which is completely randomly in a non-existent state. Because if it crystallizes in any form, in any of the realities which we're dealing with, it'll be found. You can't have that. Did that make sense, Christine?
Yeah, if we were on mainstream TV now and they were overhearing our conversation, we'd both get banged up.
Nobody would get banged up because the people doing the banging up are going to get banged up themselves because they're exceeding their authority and they're causing problem to the collective, and that's not good.
So Lorian saying what she was saying to ignore it is not true. So when I
No, Lorian was giving some very good advice.
put a block up.
Yeah, well, you have to do that. I mean, if you're playing ping pong, for Christ's sake, you don't have to, that's what the ping pong ball is.
What?
You got the bat.
What's the ping pong ball?
Have you not ping pong table tennis?
Yeah, but I don't get it. I don't get it.
From a conceptual point of view, the ping pong, the ball is a ball of energy, which is a cognitive weapon, which is coming towards you. You've got to deflect that with your ping pong bat.
But why? If you're telling me to go,
That's her. I mean, I'm using symbology as a mechanism for what you need to do.
oh, I see. But okay. So there you are. You're driving along, and all of a sudden you get a really strong memory of like the astral, even if it's something like lassoing Graham Johnson to the ceiling. You can't keep the two going together, can you?
No, but otherwise you're going to crash the bloody car.
Yeah. So you block that out at that point. But
So at that particular point, well, you don't need to because you're driving. You can do that. It's the temporal, the time periods are not the same between dimensions. So you can, for a micro tenth of a nanosecond, you can leap out, deal with that little problem, come back. But you need to come back in a very short period of time. So in a relative, so you don't run over the old lady or drive into the oil tank or blow up in flames. I mean, are we getting a message across here?
yeah, isn't it odd that that other guy knew that Kieran guy. I mean, it's so odd, like being a soldier in like parallel times. Does everybody have that shit going on?
Yes, but Kieran has been on the basis. He's and he'll be interviewed. The Polish are going to be having him in Poland along with Max Spears and myself
Huh.
in April. And
I'd love to talk to him. Is he
yeah,
just?
well, Kieran Lee Perrin he painted my house.
Oh, right.
He was part of the Jedi painters from Croydon.
Huh.
But Kieran has got a number of as Kieron, not Kieran, Kieran Kieron Lee Perrin
Hmm.
has got a blog, and he's got his 3 MRI scans. As I say, when I mentioned Marie, she had about 35 MRI scans, and her implants were much smaller.
What can I ask? So, what is Kieran doing about these other selves that are soldiers? Is he gonna just let them carry on regardless?
Well, it's been explained to him that he is a soldier and he'll do what he's commanded.
Oh, I see. So,
So
I'm
the
the
thing is that he's got multiple different images, it seems, in different worlds.
Hmm.
He's also the spitting image of King Edward VIII,
Hmm.
which he's mentioned a couple of times. He was at the basis conference, the first basis conference in 2014.
So what I'm trying to ask is, does every human being have these separate soldiers, or just the ones that
No,
have been?
no. The thing is that you're people like you who've got the ability to focus on the other domains
We're ones that have been.
would be required as a weapon system to deal with the attack on our collective realities from those other areas.
But we've been fiddled with, haven't we, with that monarch stuff? So does
Yeah,
that?
the monarch programming, the monarch programming, and the MK Ultra stuff, which is endemic in broadcasting and just about everything. The film They Live, which people keep referring to. Our reality has got a problem.
Can I ask you, the MK Ultra and the monarch, like was performed on me, I believe, at the Jesuit orphanage. Does that cause that super soldier thing, or is it
No, I
them
would
trying?
say that they were specifically trying to get you not to be able to use your abilities.
Oh,
And
I see.
use you.
And they know different people that might have that ability, do
Yeah,
they?
they would see that ability in you probably instantaneously because your auric field would have certain signatures, and that would you'd you're they would have a higher level of consciousness, and they would instruct the lower minions to do certain things because they could spot you. I mean, that this is the thing that the radar systems and detection systems that they've got can spot psychically aware or people with an energetic signature, a spectral energy signature, which would be completely different to others. So they can spot individuals on the planet who are got these higher cognitive abilities because they just do a frequency search.
Oh, I
And
see.
so, I mean, you can. This is something which the grid keeper referred to when he was doing certain aspects of his abilities in terms of the grid keeping. A US AWACS plane came down and did a low flight over him to see who the hell he was.
Who's
But
grid? Who's grid?
that was him being told, "We can see you."
Who's grid keeper?
The grid keeper is one of the team of people which worked with Casbolt, and the grid keeper was able to access Peasmore, and they gave him a little welcome flyover over TR3B Alpha in Peasmore in Berkshire. And the grid keeper, very civilized guy, and he's part of the team which is hitherto was working with Casbolt, and part of that small team of people that were doing things. And he had a major UFO encounter at reptilian event at there was a crash of a private jet at Goodwood airfield, which is down the very south, near the south coast of England, and there was a reptilian officer who was being released from jail by a British officer, and he took this guy out to. He was doing an illegal exchange program, bringing this reptilian. The story goes, this British officer took this guy out of confinement, flew him in a jet to deliver him back with his reptilian colleagues. The powers that be, I think the British teleported him out of the jet. The jet crashed at Goodwood airfield, and this guy, the reptilian being there, died. There was then a reptilian landing where a bunch of these reps took this guy from the crash, recovered their dead colleague, and disappeared, and and went back. And the grid keeper and another guy called John Leonard Wolfson, I think, he was able to get some video of this. It's been on YouTube. It's very fuzzy. It's not really clear enough to really prove anything, but it's repeatedly claimed this was a real event, and the grid keeper was involved with that, and John Leonard Wolfson, I think, and he's the guy who gets these pictures of these huge craft in space, these huge, massive platforms. He's got a telescope that can see that stuff.
Have you got any exercises that when I come in contact with that part of myself? Actually, when I was in that group of people that have been through the Monarch stuff, that girl, Louise, said to keep a diary of parts of me in separate books, and I said there was a special part of me that I couldn't reach, and I called it ice because I couldn't reach it. When I thought of her, I just got like a feeling of like ice. And that girl that I met who's doing that soldier stuff, that's definitely her. That's the kind of, when I think about it.
Louise who?
Oh, Louise Clark.
I don't know her, but I don't know. Does the audience know?
She hates you.
She doesn't like me. Oh dear.
I know. I don't know why. She's like, no, he's bad. He's gonna hurt you. Don't speak to him. I mean, that's about a year ago. I don't speak to Louise now.
Oh dear.
But that's the way it is in this circle of people. You know what it's like,
Yeah.
Anyway, so it doesn't matter. She doesn't know you. So what?
I'm hurt. I'm so hurt.
Oh, there's no to be hurt. She just meant she didn't like what you were doing about taking statements. She said you were, gatekeeping. You know what people say. I go on my instincts.
Let's make it absolutely clear. Obviously, if I'm making my own personal record of this and putting it up online, it can be used as a mechanism by other agencies to exploit that situation. There's no. I mean, the same with Project Camelot.
I know. But you know what? They know anyway. So what the hell is the point, in hiding anything? It's ridiculous. People go on about privacy. What privacy? Even your thoughts aren't private. It's just bullshit. So anyway, I just want to tell you. So that part of me, I called it ice. And that is definitely that girl who's like operating as a soldier. I mean, how do I get that part of me? I'm not having anybody working as a soldier when I don't know what the hell's going on. How do I get that part of me back then?
Well, you've got to find it, recover it, and work out and remove its. It'll have a force field around it of some kind, which prevents you. You've got the ability to break all that stuff down.
Okay.
You just remove the force field, just pull it off, and then pull that back into your consciousness.
Okay. I was trying to do that. I did a little bit. I tried to bring her back in, and I did. I opened my eyes, and I was laying on the bed.
You didn't properly clean it then.
Oh, really? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. She came back a bit because I felt an urge to eat things that I hadn't eaten since I was that age, like whipped cream. I want whipped cream. So I had that sort of...
Well, provided it's organic, holistic whipped cream. None of that horrible stuff that the Americans spray out of these stupid cans.
Oh, well, we grew up poor, so I was probably having a crave for some kind of...
It says whipped cream on the can, so it must be real.
Yeah, some kind of shit. So what do? I clean it off more. And how do I do that again?
Well, you obviously know how to do it. You just didn't finish the job, so just finish it off.
People do that, take them to a safe place kind of thing. That doesn't work for me. That, bring them to a safe place. Imagine a safe place.
Well, that's because you've decided that the safe place doesn't exist, so you can't bring somebody to a safe place which you don't have. Because you've decided to make that not a safe place. I mean, when somebody says a safe place, it's going to be a different definition for each person.
Well, they say to imagine a house or a beach.
Whatever. Yeah, but whatever you consider to be a safe place.
I can't do it. I've tried to. I can't imagine.
Yeah, but that's because you've decided that you're not safe, so you're not going to have a safe place.
Oh, I see.
And if somebody says a house is safe for people who live in a house, you don't have a house. So if you imagine a house, it's not safe, but you don't have one.
Yes, that's right.
So of course you're not going to have a safe place in a house. So you go and imagine a house, create your safe place, and make that safe, and put your guardians on it, so it's protected. Then it's a safe place.
Oh, and then you bring her there, do you?
Yeah, but because you don't have a house, so when somebody says visualize a house, I mean, as I said before, because you don't have a safe place known as a house, if you then create a house, it's not safe, so it wouldn't be a safe place to bring that consciousness to.
Is that what it is? It's a consciousness. Yeah.
Or whatever. It's a construct within your consciousness environment. That's what we're all existing in, a consciousness environment. We've got clearly we've got elements which are manipulating that, wherever they come from, or what. I see distance is irrelevant in a consciousness environment because it's a non-local thing in the first place.
Wow, it's really exhausting talking about this. It really does. When I come off, after talking about this, I really feel like just like really drained.
Well, at least these little therapy sessions at 6 a.m. in American time, God help them, are, well, I'm being very sarcastic when I say that.
No, they help me. They help me. Sometimes I get comments in the comments if you hang it ever. Oh, this is not a proper basis, or this is not what basis is all about. I'm supposed to be talking about, how I'm a higher evolved being or some shit like that. Well,
we're all higher evolved beings, but we're being conned into a lower involvement in terms of our consciousness.
Yeah, but I can't help
manipulating our consciousness.
I hear you.
Giving us false horizons.
I can't help it if I come out with stuff that isn't, like an angel. It doesn't mean I'm, oh, you're not an angel. What are you doing on base? Do you know what I mean? That kind of shit.
Yeah, but the point is that if people looked at the angel narrative, the angels are only commanded by the so-called God at the time to help humanity. The angels have got their own agenda, their own existence, or whatever the hell they are. They're not, because it's an angel, it's got wings. They're an existence it was the jinn, according to the narrative, who said, no, we're not going to help humanity. They're taking our territory. Stop that, whatever. It probably could be the jinn who are affecting our reality.
I don't know what it is. I had something the other night where I was going off to sleep and there was this woman. She was remote viewing me, and I thought, get stuffed. And
the fact that you can detect that is amazing. So you've got to work on that. It's a huge talent.
Well, she was impressed by it. She said to her bosses, she said she can detect me and it's not even in the same time frame. So she was doing it at another point in time. But I detected.
Well, that sounds like you were being scanned. You were being probed.
Yeah, I was.
To find out what you can do. You're being trained here for something.
But then
Spartan up your game, get your focus, and get on with it.
We're going. It's been really nice having you. Have a really lovely day, Miles, and thanks for coming on.
Happy days. Cheerio.
Bye.